It's been going close to 150 runnings, but with the 146 of the Queensland Derby. It's got an incredible honour roll. It's got $1 million and a beautiful trophy to go with all of that over the classic distance. And Emma Freedman has caught up with Chris Waller.
Chris Waller saddles up 2 runners in the Derby today, including the hot favourite in Kovalika. Interesting preparation for him. Things haven't gone necessarily to the original plan, but my God, mixing it in weight for age level last weekend, he was absolutely spot on for this weekend.
That's right, Emma. Yeah, he was planning to run 2 weeks ago against his own age group. He had a sore foot, so we backed off. I guess like any sporting player, it's not as easy as you may think. So, yeah, preparing them for a 2,400 metre race. They need the mileage, they need to be able to have that race fitness. So luckily we had the Doomley Cup last week, and I think that's brought his levels up so that he's fit enough to run 2,400 today.
1 week backup?
Our horses are normally fine. I think it's what you do in between. If they race 7 days prior, they don't do any hard work. They just do quiet canters, basically cantering around the park, because they're already fit. And that 2,000 metre race is as hard a gallop as you're going to get. So I think it's a matter of backing off and keeping them happy in the food intake, the feed bin as we call it. That's always a good sign. And the old timers will say, if you've got a horse eating up, you've got a healthy horse. So he's been eating up.
He's a good doer, so to speak. Special Sway, absolutely enormous first Australian star in the rough habit. Massive effort to be jumping from a Group 3 into a Group 1 today in his second Australian star.
Yeah, it sure is. And prior to that, he was in a maiden in New Zealand. So, look, it's just timing, and that's what the Queensland Winter Carnival does. So these are all 3-year-olds, but it's late season 3-year-olds. Go back to Victoria in November, they're young 3-year-olds. So they've had time to mature, and you're seeing these late developers like Special Sway come through. Yeah, he's a confident horse, and we don't know his staying ability, we don't know his true ability, but he certainly looked like he ran a strong 2,000 metres out 2 weeks ago.
Well, great hand today. Best wishes for the rest of the day.
Thank you, Emma.
Makes so much sense, doesn't he, the genius of Chris Waller? And let's have a look at the final touches on Kovalika.
In the Cucaracha colours, so Kovalika deserves to be favourite, Lizzie, there's no doubting that. I mean, he picks himself, except for the 2,400 metres, but I'm sure he'll be fine with that.
He's just brilliant, and you're questioning whether he's too brilliant for the 2,400 metres, but he does have that class as opposed to some of these other horses who you know will stay but don't necessarily have the same turn of foot. The Vowels is one that I talk about, has got that really nice staying prowess, but it's a case of whether he's able to have the same turn of foot as a horse like Kovalika. Aberfeldy, boy, well, he's travelled like a couple of other horses in this race.
And Lizzie been placed in 2 derbies already, so he ticks a big box, doesn't he? He'll get the trip. Both those derbies at 2,500. Promises kept. Kieran Maher was focused when he was in earlier today.
Yeah, he certainly was, wasn't he? So an inside barrier. Mark Zara, to be fair though, he had an absolute picnic in the South Australian Derby up on speed. He deserved to be able to win that race, yet he still wasn't able to get it done. So I'm slightly questioning that form. This is my roughie in the race. His name is Andalus. So he ran second in the New Zealand Derby and arguably should have beaten Sharp and Smart. Went to the Sydney Derby on a heavy track, probably didn't handle it. Only got beaten 4 and a bit lengths. Gee, I think he'll run really well, and the blinkers go on.
Here's the Tulloch winner, Tapple Doo-Doo-Doo. It caused a big shock that day, didn't he, when he won the Tulloch, but he's backed it up with some fair runs. Whitech to be ridden differently today, and his Special Sway. What a masterclass of a ride when he won the Rough Habit.
Yeah, and he looks every inch a classy individual as well. This is his second start here in Australia. Winning the Rough Habit is a good lead-up race. This guy is quite aptly named. Yeah, stroke of luck, he's had no luck.
Correct, he has had none of it. Nose roll goes on today. Gee, this is an interesting runner. Fame. So from a Kyneton maiden win to a Moe dominant win in benchmark 64, that's low-grade race. But Peter Moody, Jason Collett, there's a real spring in his step that Pete Moody thinks this guy can measure up. This bloke will certainly get the trip. He's trained by Sarge.
He is extra rev, so he's going to run okay, but he's at long odds. I like Craig Williams for this horse because I think he'll ride him aggressively, and he won leading the other day.
I love the way he looks in the yard. I was just admiring how he was passing host set. He's just really well put together, and he's got a lot of strength and staying physicalities that I love.
Ben, will he start odds on Kovalika?
I think that's a fair assessment. $1.65 about Kovalika now, 3.5 times more money than the next best backed runner in the race. So the money is certainly on. Promises Kept is on the second line at $8. Special Sway at $12. And you guys alluded to it. I did just want to make mention on Fame. So $51 the open, bottomed out at $11, now $12. But in terms of money held with Tab, there's hardly a Zach. The Vow's $14. Aberfeldy Boy has been specced at $17, but is a drifter. Andalus at $26, then Stroke of Luck at $31, even more the remainder. I'll let you guys have a read through them because I just want to give you the heads up too that if any punters are looking for some extra value today, maybe $1.70 about Kovalika is a touch too short. Maybe consider the same race multi on the Tab app. You can combine multiple runners in the same race to run top 2, top 3, top 4 for bigger odds. It's very popular, so head along there for free and confidential support. Remember to call the number on the screen or visit the website.
Thanks, Ben. Hot horse coming up. John O'Shea with a couple in the race. Here's Emma Freedman.
John Andalus, you've taken over the training since he ran in the Sydney Derby. Plenty of gear changes. What have you learnt since his last run?
I would just try to get him, happy and healthy, and he raced very well in New Zealand, but the transition to Australia is a different kettle of fish. So it's just been about keeping him happy. He's a very talented horse, and we just want to keep things nice and simple.
His form in New Zealand was excellent. We saw that stack up over our carnival in Sydney. What about the dry ground here today?
Yeah, I think that's better for him. In the Australian Derby, he got his knickers in and not getting into the straight the first time, and it's just important to get the first part of the race right here today on good ground, and I'm sure it'll be effective.
Don't get your knickers in a knot, mate.
No, indeed not.
Good on you, John. So Andalus and also Stroke of Luck for John O'Shea. So we have a look at Fame here. He's been so well back with that familiar nose roll for Moody's. Won a couple, Pete. Kiramar's won one. Chris Waller's won a couple. Lizzie, pick of the yard?
I think Kovalika will win on form, but looking at the way that the 16 Sacred Mission presented, I'm going to go with him on top.
Wow, gee, I think he'll run well. I love that. That
I hope
Ipswich,
you're right.
when after the finishing line, he's still, they had awful trouble pulling him up. 2,400 metres, he'll absolutely love it. I think this is a race Kovalika picks himself, but Andalus, Sacred Mission, Cut on a Dime. There's a lot of runners that I think can run big races at big prices.
James has got a good draw, hasn't he? I mean, he can sort of sort it out. He's not going to lead, we know that, but you feel like he's going to be, 3 back, 4 back, ready. And then he has got a turn of foot that perhaps the others don't have. He showed in the Doomben Cup. It's a funny one. I don't know how you feel. I think he'll win, but I don't think he's a certainty.
No.
And he's a certainty's price. And I don't think he should be quite so short.
I think he should be $2.50.
Well, I'm a bit the same. Well, let's find the hot horse because this could be challenging for Ben because we know a couple have been backed at odds and we've got a roaring favourite.
Do you guys want $2.50 about Kovalika?
Yeah.
You can't have it.
Sure.
$1.70 currently available. 3.5 times more than the next best backed runner in the race. Just wanted to make a point though on one that Lizzie mentioned in Sacred Mission. It has had a lot of late interest here. So it's currently the 6th best backed runner in the race, but at $51, it's had some specking.
So Kovalika, there's been so much talk about him. What a training performance too. I know it was only, I say only a foot abscess, but Chris made a big decision. We'll go to the Doomben Cup because after the rub havoc that day, the late scratching, I think you were hosting on the day, Richo, we thought, well, he's probably out of the Derby, didn't we?
Right.
And yet, no, we'll get him to the Doomben Cup and we'll go from there. And of course, from there they've gone, and now he is. I mean, James riding against him last week with Zaki, of course.
That's exactly right. Isn't it also interesting, this, Bruce, this is something that you identified a long time out, how that Chris is such a systems guy, but also a creature of habit, that he identifies the horses that are suitable for each race and then goes through nearly identical programs all the way through. Like we could see Kovalika back in November and December. You could see the signs. This is his Queensland Derby horse. This is the one he'll go through.
Absolutely, and he's used the Atkins like that.
Yeah.
So Wallace Stable, Lizzie, have won 14 Group 1s in Queensland. I mean, that's a big number. There are only 8 run every year. He's won 14 Group 1s in this state already.
Yeah, he uses it as a launching pad. He's almost rejuvenated this winter time and winter period for horses to go on throughout the spring and the autumn, and it gives them confidence. Who knows, if we see Kovalika win today, even if he doesn't win today, he's going to be aimed at the spring riches.
Well, whatever happens, the winner today, if it's a Promises Kept or Aberfeldy Boy, we're going to be thinking Caulfield Melbourne Cups. If Kovalika were to win brilliantly today, we're probably thinking Cox Place.
Yeah.
Because he has got that class factor about him.
Well, this is a Melbourne Cup Vow and Declare was able to run second in a derby, and you're seeing horses go on and get over longer trips in the spring.
So what about Doomben Cup? So to run in the Doomben Cup and then back up for the week. I mean, they've changed a lot of their programming. It's hard to line up.
Between them, it's been years and years since it's happened. It has happened. Horses
Well, Shootout ran fourth in the Doomben Cup before winning this, but was that, I don't know what the gap was between.
It was about
Doomben
4
Cup.
weeks already at the time, so it has changed, and now the whole program has changed quite dramatically for the better. I think they've got it just about right, don't you? From what we're seeing over the last few weeks and what we're seeing in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
And also, when we look around here, I mean, it's a beautiful day in Queensland. We have been surrounded by people. It was heaving the mounting yard here, so whatever they're doing, it seems to be well patronised by passionate racing people.
Well, we've seen 3 Derby runners already compete today and compete so well in the Premier's Cup. The Epsom Derby's on this time next week. You say Derby, anybody in racing knows what you mean, don't they? It's a classic. It's important. It's, usually run at a mile and a half. It's a test of all the things that count. And this race has got such a history. It used to be just before Christmas time. Horses, when Tulloch won it and all that, and then they went to the winter and they've had wonderful winners like Kingston Town, etc. But we haven't had an odds-on favourite for over 35 years start in the race until now. 1 or 2 to come up. Let's go to David Fowler for his call of the 146th running of the Queensland Derby.
He's at the ladder. Here's Fame coming up. Well backed at odds. $51 on tab, I think, midway during the week. Now down to 10. Fame goes in. Now they're set for the Derby. Light turned on. Well-behaved group of 3-year-olds. Racing. Kovalika has jumped on terms with them. Stroke of Luck began well with Promises Kept. Extra Rev showing early speed, as is Sacred Mission pushing forward. Aberfeldy Boy just behind them with Cut on a Dime. The Englishman coming down the outside, even wider special. Sway out in no man's land. White Tack in centre field as they head to the winning post the first time. Then came the Vowels, followed by Andalus. Smart Are We? Getting back with Subarctic. A few lengths away to Fame, third last. Then Amalgamation, and Arby goes out to the tail. They're 5 abreast as they swing into the 1800-metre bend, but Sacred Mission's got the front. White Tack moves up on the outside to be second, the Englishman in third, and Promises Kept taking cover today, fourth on the rail. In the centre was Extra Revs and 3 wide outside that pair Special Sway. He's doing his fair share of work as they search towards the mile. About 3 lengths away, Stroke of Luck outside of Cut on a Dime. Kovalika, he's in the second half of the field. I'd say he spots them about 8 lengths as they run down the back straight. Off the track, the Vowels, nearer the inside, Tapple Doodle Doo, then Aberfeldy Boy. He's right behind Kovalika, directly behind him. Then came Subarctic, followed by Andalus, a long way back. Fame now with 3 behind him, including Smart Are We, Arby, and Amalgamation, the bolder is last of all. The Derby heads along the back straight, half the journey completed, and the leader was Sacred Mission by 3/4 to White Tack in second. The Englishman dropped to the rail to be third. Special Sway still covering ground. Then came Extra Revs between runners as they go to the 1,000. Promises Kept lying in about 6th position. Now Kovalika, J-Max on the way forward. He's making his move. Stroke of Luck was next. Then Cut on a Dime. The Vowels, followed by Aberfeldy Boy. Well back Andalus. Then came Amalgamation. Tapple Doodle Doo. Smart Are We? Followed by a long way back Subarctic. Second last coming down the side was Arby, and now Fame is Stone Motherless last. Heading towards the 600 metres. Sacred Mission being heeled along. Leads from White Tack. Racing third, the Englishman. He's had a good run. Then Extra Revs, followed by Special Sway. Yielding ground, then Stroke of Luck. Kovalika now starts to close on the leaders and close on them pretty smartly as well. In the home straight though, short of 400 left to run. Kovalika immediately took control of the Derby and shot away. Look at Kovalika go. Promises Kept comes out of the ruck. Running on fairly down the outside was Stroke of Luck. But look at Kovalika. He's a mile in front with 100 metres left to go. Fame has made up many lengths getting to second. Stroke of Luck third. But Kovalika, too good. The favourite wins the Derby and wins it well. Beats home Fame, Stroke of Luck. Fourth not certain. Prominent there was Andalus, Aberfeldy Boy not far away, then Promises Kept, Cut on a Dime, Extra Revs, followed by Arby, Tapple Doodle Doo. Well back was the Englishman, then White Tack, Amalgamation, Smart Are We, the Vowels. Well back Subarctic, and just coming across the line, Sacred Mission, and also Special Sway. Kovalika, the best horse in the race, wins the Queensland Derby.
Gem of a ride. You couldn't put more on him on the turn. Everything worked out. McDonald wins his... Have a look at J-Mac there. Having a good long look back. It was oh so easy. The runner-up was an absolute eye-catcher as well.
Yeah, unbelievable performance from Kovalika, but as you mentioned, it was an eye-catching performance from Fame as well, who was finding the line like nothing else in the field. But Kovalika has had a big boom on him for quite some time, and as Richo mentioned, a long time ago, this would have been in the plan of Chris Waller, and he was able to execute it not perfectly, not to his liking, but to the way, the result that he got in the end. So great performance. A Stroke of Luck, I think, ran third, which is another good performance from him. But where does this guy go now?
Well,
Guys, I guess you probably know who I'm stood next to. This is one of my favourite horses, and I'm sure one of Joe Pry's favourite horses as well. Think about it. He has done such a terrific job for the stable so far. Unbelievable to think that he's had the 8 starts and the 7 wins and 1 minor placing as well. And this, again, is his stiffest test. How do you think he'll go?
Look, really well. One of the more difficult things about this assignment was travelling him away. But it's worked really well for him, and he's got to come back, hopefully come back in a couple of weeks' time to run the Stradbroke. So it was important that he handled the occasion, that he handles the occasion well. We're not there yet, but he's the initial travelling, and here at the races today, I'm happy with him because he's a bit of a restless horse, to be fair. So he enjoys himself a little bit too much sometimes.
Well, this will do him the world of good, won't it? Looking at him, he's physically a great type, and hopefully he can get the job done for his many admirers, including me.
Restraining orders on its way, Lizzie, don't you worry about that. So 11th for James McDonald in a season with Kovalika.
Which is the record for J-Mac, so that is fantastic, and 79 in his incredible career. What a marvel he's made.
And for Chris Waller, 12 in the season and 149 all up. He's about to get that 150. We think, here's J-Mac with Emma.
James, congratulations. What a horse he is. You had so much horse underneath you on that turn. Amazing ride, but let's give the horse some credit. He was enormous.
Yeah, he is. He's a really good horse, and to show a turn of foot over those trips is something else, because it doesn't matter where you are in a race. They make their own luck, the good horses, and he did that really well. There wasn't a moment of fear in that race because nothing went wrong. It was just poetry in motion, and he galloped away really well.
Another Group 1 for you. You keep climbing those ranks. 79 now, edging towards that 80 mark. It's got to give you a bit of a smile too.
Yeah, I was hoping to get it before the end of the season, so hopefully a couple more would be nice. But yeah, first and foremost, the ride for Dave and Nev are great supporters of racing, and to win on their home turf, basically they live here on a really good horse. It's really special.
Nice insight into your goals as well. We'll hopefully get that 80 before the season's out, mate.
Cheers.
Might do it in the next end. What a gentleman and champion he is, James McDonald. There's the trophy for the Kingsford Smith. Let's go through the history. Here's M. Bossy.
And they're away now.
Since 2017, it's been known as the Kingsford Smith Cup. But the Eagle Farm Wait for Age Sprint has had many names throughout its history, including most recently the BTC Cup.
And the cat's got up. Apache Cat beat for Mr.
High-profile wins from the likes of Chief De Beers, General Nadim and Falvalon twice led to the race earning Group 1 status in 2006.
And they're off at a race.
For much of its history, the race was run over 1,200 metres, including the famous 2011 renewal when Black Caviar met old sparring partner Haylist.
Start number 13, unlucky for some, not for this one. Black Caviar raced away and beat Haylist.
In 2017, the race was extended to 1,300 metres. The same year, Clearly Innocent denied Jungle Edge Group 1 glory.
Clearly Innocent, the king of Sky races, clear at Eagle Farm.
It was the Jamie Carr Magic Show in 2021. Coming from near last, she weaved Vega 1 through the field for a memorable win.
Good on you, Em. It was just stunning, Richo, wasn't it? I mean, this is just a ride forever.
Oh, that's right. Patience and also courage with a capital C. To be able to go, to put your horse's nose into areas that there's no gap at all, but to encourage him to do that at 60 or 70 k's an hour when you've got a little leather strap in your hand, you've got no brakes on a 600 kilo animal. Oh my Lord.
Everyone who asks me how Jamie Carr is doing always reflects on that particular ride, and that's their highlight, to see her win a Group 1 in that type of fashion.
If you're watching today, Jamie, cheers from all of us. Hey, we've had 10 different name changes this race. Can you believe it? Couple of beers, about 3 wines, you name it. Now we've got Kingsford Smith, who's a distinguished aviator, of course.
Oh, right, not a good horse. Okay. So surely we've got to name it after a Group 1 horse. Surely.
So
anyway.
There you go. Lizzie, talk to us a little bit about this European stay in a case of you.
Yeah, he's, as you mentioned, a European stallion. He's having his 4th Australian start, and he's drawn wide in all 3 of his starts. He looks as though he's got a lot of upside the way that he races. He finds the line quite nicely. Oh, looks a bit grumpy there. Cheer up, buddy. But overall...
I know why he's grumpy. Because both of his trainers have decided to go to Amsterdam at the moment. Haven't even bothered to come and watch him race.
They're not here.
No.
No, Mick and Mark. I'd heard that this morning. So they must be confident. There you go. Emma Freeman, a short time ago, caught up with Sam Clifford, and he's got the big ride in the race.
Sammy, think about it. This very progressive horse for Joe Pride. You've been on board last few starts, and last time I think we caught up when he won, you had to waste hard to get down to the weight. Not the case today.
No, not the case today under weight for age scale, but look, this is his acid test. He's got to go to a new level today, but every time we've raised the bar with the horse, he's jumped it, and jumped it with flying colours. And look, he's a very exciting horse. I'm not sure where his ceiling is. He's very untapped. He's gifted with ability. I'm expecting him to parade a bit, a bit bully, and that's sort of starting to become his trademark. But once he gets out on the track, he's all business. And yeah, fingers crossed he can put his best foot forward, and I don't see why he won't.
Instructions from Joe. I know he's been incredibly positive about this horse over the last couple of months, knowing that he can progress through the grades like he has. But today's a big task, and it's a very nice field.
Yeah, look, it's like, as I said, it's his acid test, and he's up against some proven weight for age hardheads today. But look, you could argue that the old hardheads are on the way down, and my horse is on his way up. So, horse that's on an upward spiral can go a long way in these big weight for age races. And yeah, look, again, I'd never have a plan on this horse. I've led on him. I've come from last. I've come from midfield. So, he can do it all, and I'll just approach it in the same manner. Naturally, a high pressure race, but that could come, that could fall into our hands as well. So, yeah, look, he's got to put his best foot forward, but like I said, I think he will.
Good luck, buddy.
Thanks, Sam.
Good stuff, Sams. Here's Rothfire, one of the main reasons probably that Blake Shin came up today. What a record he's got at Eagle Farm. He's such a brave horse. He's overcome so many obstacles.
Yeah, he has 11 starts, 6 wins and 2 minor placings. So it's fair to say he really enjoys racing here at Eagle Farm, and he, as you mentioned, he's overcome some really big adversities in his career.
Just want to remind you guys about a special horse called Strawberry Road, the only horse to have won both the Kingsford Smith and the Derby. Can you believe it? They were on different days. This was his autumn-winter campaign. His 13th run in the campaign was the Queensland Derby. Have a look what he did. Look at the distances. So he went from the Channel 7 Stakes at 2,000, back to 1,300 in the Kingsford Smith, up to the 2,400 at his next start. That's what Strawberry Road did. And, of course, we could go on ad infinitum about what he did afterwards. In fact, he's the grandsire of last weekend's Preakness Stakes winner.
Oh, is
Strawberry
that right?
Road, correct. Yes.
Incredible horse.
So Zach Lloyd's had a good day today. Rhys Jones probably taking the honours at the moment in Sydney as we get into the mounting yard for the Open over 1,400.
All set. Racing. Great line out. One of the first to go, Eduardo, is expected, speeding towards the early lead. Rothfire well away. Emerald Kingdom third, settling down. And King of Sparta in a very handy fourth. Then Valana, a case of you, not too far away either. Sixth in the first call. Think About It seventh. Converge the rail. Then 11-11, Paleza Pan, Shalo. Gentleman Roy taken back. Followed by the Inferno. Kerwin's Lane, Alpine Legend, or Alpine Edge is second last. And Paul Ailey has gone out to the tail. 800 left to run. Eduardo. He's going to try and lead all the way, but Rothfire right right in his face in second, although I'd suggest they've steady mid-race. Valana 3 wide, can't get in, stuck. King of Sparta in a great spot, fourth around that Emerald Kingdom. Think about it, travelling up 3 wide with cover, a dangerous 6 at the turn. A case of you trying to navigate into the clear, then Converge 11-11. A long way back was Shalo, Alpine Edge, Kerwin's Lane. A mile back, Palaiza Pad, Gentleman Roy and Paul Laley. In the straight, Rothfire charged to the front. Here comes Think About It. After Rothfire, who's got a decent kick though. Rothfire the leader. Slowly but surely, Think About It gets on terms. Rothfire the inside. Think About It the outside. Think About It race to the lead. Flashing open on the inside, Converge. Think About It in front and one. Think About It won the Kingsford Smith from a flashing Converge. Rothfire and King of Sparta. Followed then by Shalo. Then Alpine Edge, Valana. Followed by a case of you who didn't come on. Kerwin's Lane, then Emerald Kingdom, Paul Ailey. A long way back, Gentleman Roy with 11-11. And Eduardo, and not finishing the track, Palaiza Pan.
Well, he keeps the picket fence going. He's just a fantastic horse. They raise the bar. That man raises the bar. He's the man behind him, Joe Pride, and he responds. It was a good win. Gee, it was a good win, and he drops to 54 kilos in the Stradbroke. He's going to be sure. Converge good. He keeps his Stradbroke hopes alive. Rothfire runs third, fourth last year, and King of Sparta probably not the best of luck in the straight.
That's right. Probably chopped out a touch by Rothfire, but he wasn't going to trouble the winner. All honours for Think About It. And this guy came on into our radar many starts ago. And Lizzie, you've been the champion of his cause and telling us that he's a really good horse. Joe Pride thought, look, I'll have a crack at this race because, in my opinion, it's not an elite Group 1. I think he can still win it at weight for age, but the big race is the Stradbroke. And look at, he just runs into the race perfectly here for Sammy Clipperton. He's about to go past Valana. Rothfire's taken the lead. Eduardo's gone, look behind. Converge nowhere to go. King of Sparta starts to accelerate. Can't get off the heels of Rothfire.
There wasn't enough speed for King of Sparta to really finish off. I think if there was more speed in the race, you would have seen him finish a lot closer. He didn't have the best of runs. But it's all about how you make the luck in running,
true.
isn't it? And think about it. He can sit 3 wide with cover. He can kick off in slow tempo for fast tempo. He's got so many bits of armoury and he's able to use them and utilise them. And that's all with him playing up in the yard as well. Imagine when he actually conserves his energy and really focuses and becomes a racehorse. This is his first trip away. So we might be dealing with something very...
I don't know the answer. Does Joe keep him here? Does he go home?
No, there's only 2 weeks, so it's hard to take them home with such a short space. But he could do because he doesn't have a stable up here.
And stabling's difficult up here at the moment. But look, the sky's the limit. So you think a 10th individual Group 1 winner for him? I mean, he's been a remarkable stallion, hasn't he? We love the fact that he's been so successful. We all fell in love with him. It was, can I say this? Workmanlike. I mean, it was a fantastic win, but that's the sort of...
Bruce, what does he have to do?
No more. I'm in love with him, not as much as you, but he can't pick holes in him, but he's a workmanlike horse.
Yeah, that's workmanlike. I think he's slightly... Well, Shayu, look at him. Shayu's run 5th there. That's an eye catcher. He's beaten Shayu by like a length and a half, 2 lengths.
Knock. You're getting me the wrong way. He doesn't win races by 4 or 5 lengths running away. What he does, he puts himself in winning positions and he gets the job done.
Yeah.
Now, he's got to Group 1 so quickly.
And even when you look at his takeover target win prior to this victory, he was able to win at a track which wasn't meant to suit him at Gosford, where there wasn't a great deal of pace on. He overcomes what you think is going to be detrimental to the way he's going to perform. And that's what makes a very good horse. And as I mentioned, there's so much more improvement in him, not just physically, but mentally as well. With the first trip away, they rarely win Group 1s, and that's what he's been able to do.
Go back and join all the spoils after the Kingsford Smith. Here's Sam Clipperton with Emma.
Sammy, 4th Group 1, congratulations on a horse who has just gone through the grades with such style. Tell us about riding him today. Tell us about the feel he gave you on the turn.
He just feels like an absolute mayhem to ride. He's an amazing horse with incredible strength, incredible ability, and for a big, long, tall horse, he sprints off a 20-cent piece, and I'm just very lucky to do the easy job of piloting him. Good horses are easy to pilot. You just got to get him out and put him in the spot, and they do the rest, and that's what he does. I enjoyed a nice run, but yeah, I can't thank Jamie Walter and Proven Thoroughbreds enough, and also Joe Pride. And a big congratulations to Joe Pride, who's just placed his horse magnificently. And you know, today was his acid test Group 1 weight for age. He's delivered in spades. And look, we'll enjoy this victory before we think about the Stradbroke. But the Stradbroke's fast approaching, and I won't say he has that race at his mercy, but because it is horse racing. But he's going to prove very hard to beat again. But like I said, we've just won a big Group 1 weight for age race, so we'll celebrate.
And they're hard to get, mate. You go and celebrate because you really deserve it. You work so hard.
Thanks, Sam.
His second Group 1 in this state, in Queensland, and fourth all up for Sam. They are hard to get. He's a fine rider, we know that, and we really like his story. Closing fast, a lot to look forward to there. So the Derby, Kovalica today, an odds-on pop for the first time since 1986 that an odds-on pop's won the Derby. He was so impressive, and now the sky seems to be the limit for Waller and McDonald. They continue this amazing career for both of them. They are two of the all-time greats. So from the Derby we went to the Kingsford Smith, Lizzie, and a horse that just continues to win. He made it 6 straight.
Yeah, unbelievable that he's been able to continue winning. And as you mentioned, I'm going to steal something from you. He does what he does to lesser company in Group 1s, and it's the way that he's able to position in the run. Joe, you could see, was really, really relieved to see him get that victory. Look at that big breath in. He's like, oh, thank goodness that's over, because he doesn't do everything traditionally. He's a bit up and about. He's a bit of a nervous type, but there's so much to look forward to, and I think a Stradbroke is well within his reach.
Yeah, and from the Stradbroke, does he do a Dane Ripper and go towards a Cox Plate? I think he could even be that good. Iona Merck, that was an impressive win, wasn't it? First start as a gelding, looks to have gone to a whole different level. Rachel King, well, she's got a date with Destiny in a couple of weeks' time because she'll be riding in the Stradbroke. And then we had the hairdresser that was amazing, winning at Ladbroke Park.
We had it all today, absolutely everything, and Pintoff was able to gain that, you know, wonderful stakes victory for Carly Cook, who we think potentially could be going out training. Instead of just being a hairdresser and doubling up, she might be focusing on one career, but she's been able to get this guy who was retired, he was not even in the frame, to get back and win, and not only win a stakes race.
Yeah, absolutely. No, look at that. Great story, isn't it? One of the stories of the day coming out of Sandown. Chris Waller, we haven't heard from him actually after that Derby today, so let's do that now with Emma.
Chris, congratulations. Another Queensland Derby takes you to 149 Group 1s, 1 off 150, which is an amazing record. But this fella, God, he's overcome a lot this preparation. Best horse in the race by a mile.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, the team up here, we've got 3 main bases, Sydney, Gold Coast and Flemington and Melbourne, and a small one at Warwick Farm. They all do an amazing job, and the pressure goes on at carnival times, and Lofty, Brett Killian, he's did an amazing job, him and his team. The horse wasn't right 2 weeks ago. We didn't panic, we didn't run him. We ran him last week and backed our judgment to say that he could still race well this Saturday. So when it all comes off, it's certainly very, very special.
He's got so much star quality about him. I mean, he's done his job this preparation, but what do you do with him going forward? Because he could stay all day, it looks like.
Well, he can stay in this Queensland weather and enjoy a winter break, and we find the horses up here, through the warmth, they actually do well. So he'll have a short break, 3 or 4 weeks, and then prepare for the spring, and probably see him at Flemington or the Spring Carnival, working our way towards the Cup races.
So exciting, mate. Congratulations. As I said, 1 off 150, only 3 trainers to have trained more Group 1s. We know you'll get there very shortly.
Thanks, Emma.
The biggest mover coming in from $51 into $8. Think about it, was always around that $4.50 mark, so he's only come in a point. And Hawaii 5-0 has cemented himself. He's now in the Stradbroke, so he wasn't even in the field before, but there was a price for him. Af Cabin, you've got Cardinal Jam, Opal Ridge as well, who we haven't seen, but there's a lot of horses there that have got that same sort of tag, that progressive tag, haven't they, Bruce?
Well, maybe Half Cabin for James
Well, that's
Cummings.
the one. That's the one that I think from today he probably doesn't go forward with these two, but he's got Half Cabin fit and firing to go. So next week it's Oaks Day, also the Magic Millions National Classic worth $500,000. So it looks a good Oaks, I think. There's a lot of that Adelaide form coming out. And Fireburn, I think, is the pin-up girl. We want a pin-up horse. We had it with Kovalica today. We've got it with her next week, haven't we?
Yeah, so happy to see her back on top of the ground and winning a race like the Roses. horses, and I think she's definitely a valid favourite. And I love the bullishness of Gary Portelli.
Yeah.
They won't be beating her, she'll be winning. That's what I love to hear from a trainer.
Because it all started here, didn't it?
Oh, I thought we were going to go a whole show without
I was
it.
waiting for this.
Grateful Allen, and this is a monstrous win in the Oaks. Winks ease down, 3 lengths on Grateful Allen.